This video is proudly sponsored by DigimonCard.io for all your Digimon card, deck building, deck list, card pricing, and discussion needs. Hey everyone, Eggman here with another video, and today we have a top 16 breakdown for the TAC Oceania webcam regionals that happened this past weekend. It did have 80 players, and it does have this breakdown that we see here today. And real quick before we get started, if you guys appreciate this video and all the other work I've done for all the other regionals for BT12 and just everything else, please make sure to hit that like and subscribe button. I would really appreciate that. Also, make sure to check out my website, Eggman Events. It's linked in the description for this page and pretty much every other BT12 regionals that's happened outside of Japan, or at least in our English meta, and just has a lot of deck lists and a good resource for Digimon and other Bandai card games. So anyways, going on into this event specifically, again, we did have 80 players, and we did have this archetype breakdown as we see, with 18 Beelzemons, 13 Hunters, 8 War Greymons, 7 Red Hybrids, 5 Black War Greymon X, 4 Machinedramons, 4 Ulforce, 3 Jessamon, 3 Mastamon, and 15 kind of everything else, ones or twos archetypes brought from there. And if we look at the top 16 itself, we do see, you know, even though 18 of the Beelzemon here, which is just like around 20% of the thing, it did get almost half of the top 16, which is really interesting there. We also had 2 Ulforce, which is pretty good from the 4 that entered, 2 Machinedramon, again good for the 4 that entered, 2 Hunters, which was okay for the 13 that entered, 1 Security Control, 1 Black War Grey X, and 1 Blue Flare, all doing very well. There's only actually 1 Security Control player, and they went undefeated, which I think was really interesting there too. So we're going to go over each individual archetype going off the top placing list in each one of those archetypes. Starting off with our first place list, we do have Aaron's first place Security Control variant here, and it is a little bit different, and it was honestly, I didn't think Security Control was as much in this meta as I was very, very surprised honestly to see it get first place in an event like this. It was 80 people, it wasn't, you know, as big as some other events, but going 6-0 with a deck like this, especially with a lot of Beelzemons as we did see earlier, is I think very impressive in its own right. So you know, you do have a good amount of security cards. We do have some new ones too, including the Rivals Barrage, which is just good in security, as well as just you know, being able to play the hard effect for it too. We have pretty much like what we've been seeing for the regular yellow purple one. We also have the Digimon Emperor as a nice little tech. So again, all turns when one of your opponent's level 5 or lower Digimon is deleted, you may suspend this tamer to draw 1, and then also opponent's turn, one of your opponent's level 3 Digimon is moved from the breeding area into their battle area. You get to gain 2 memory, which honestly I think is a really good tech against stuff like Crossheart, which wasn't really dominant right now. But Hunter, I think you do a lot of that. Additionally, a lot of the effects and all of the like when digivolvings you really want to take advantage of with the BWGX kind of archetype. So being able to have this out to kind of dissuade them from, you know, getting as much advantage as they could, I think is kind of nice too. So neat little effect. I think it's a better than average tamer, at least right now, for a lot of the archetypes that we're seeing. And then also, we've been seeing Security Control for a while. I think Yellow Purple still has a ways to go, and you know, Death X is still pretty solid in a lot of ways. In general, when you want to play against BWGX as well, you kind of just have to make it so that you just don't lose. They usually kind of peter themselves out and deck themselves out if they're not careful. So being able to do that kind of late game and just kind of stall out, I think, is important for it as well. So you do have to be worried that they do have ways to deal direct damage with the BWGX. But again, if you're able to set up, sometimes Security Control can just do it all, and it did this weekend. So congratulations to Aaron for their first place there. Next, we have Christopher with their second place BWGX. And again, we did have a lot of BWGX in this top 16. We had 7, with 4 of them in the top 8. 4 of them went X1, which is actually, I think, very impressive too there. So obviously a very strong deck, and there are a lot of like little variations and little, you know, changes for a lot of them. So it is a, you know, even though it's a deck that is very represented, at least in the top 16s that we've been doing the last little bit, it's also a deck that I think lets you make a lot of kind of decisions for your deck building, and you can kind of make it your own, which is really interesting. A lot of these decks kind of have a lot of micro decisions and like little text for them that even though it's like the best deck in the format, I do like to see those little changes and what people kind of prefer for that as well. So it really does let you do what your choices are for there. I'd say like the standard cards again are Impmon X, Impmon, these two here, the EX2 one as well as the Starter Deck one. Wizard X, I think at 4 copies as well as regular Wizardmon. Witchmon, if you do want a couple little extra level 4s, and the trashing 3s from the top of your deck, which is a little bit more than the 2 there. Balmon's usually the Starter Deck 14 one's the good one. Balmon X is just kind of depend if you're running X antibody or not. Not everyone's running that. Not everyone's running X antibody. The BT10 Balmon is also pretty good there. And then usually it's 2 of the X antibodies and then 5 between the Beelzemon and the from either EX2 or Starter Deck 14. 1 or 2 copies of Blast Mode, and then 1 or 2 copies of 7th Full Cluster as well. Deathslinger, Rivals Barrage, and Ayamako as well. 4 for this, and some people have been running 3 of this, but this can really carry the archetype at times. So I'm curious to see. Some run 3, which seems a little bit weird, but it's it's a very, very strong card for this archetype. So, anyways, that's my quick overview. You guys probably have your own opinions on BWGX as it is, but there it is there. So congratulations to Christopher for their finish there. And then next up we have Josfer with their 4th place Ulforce, and it was really cool to see Ulforce get a top in this one. And there is a little bit of uniqueness in this one too. A lot of tiny little 1-ofs and 2-ofs for it. For example, Galmon, which does for pretty much, does find a Tamer on play, but also has once per turn. If you have a Tamer in play, you get to return a level 3 or lower to his opponent's hand, which can be kind of important, especially if they have some memory blockers on the board. Gobble X being able to find Tamers on attack, this being able to gain memory, this also just being a way to find Tamers on play. We have the Lanamon, that has just been very solid. It's Kumamon, still good for removing sources, but this being able to get piercing and also stack a couple of your effects underneath it can be good too. Veedramon X, which I haven't been seeing this one as much, being able to, when attacking, you get to trash 3 to get the boost, which can be helpful if you need to swing and survive with something. And then also, when you inherited, when you place 3 to the trash, you get to draw a card, so drawing on attack is great. Then also, being able to return more level 3s with this one too. There must just be like a lot of memory blockers, or just being able to interact with your opponent's rookies in this deck, which you don't get a lot of interaction with outside of your big bad boy. I think is strong there too. 4 of the Ulforce and 2 of the X antibody. 1 of the Merciful Mode, which I think is the generic top end for a lot of these lists, especially since it has a good interaction with a the BWGX as well, being able to stack the bottom of their deck with 10 kind of useless cards, as well as just make it so they don't have as many cards in their trash to kind of abuse some of their effects, which I think is nice. And also Death X and some Blue Men boosts and just a lot of Tamers. So Matt and Sora I think have been seeing a lot of play. It does get additional memory and also another way to get rid of level 3s, which can be important there too. So I think it has like a good chance for Hunters too, since they like to play a lot of level 3s out sometimes, and it can kind of help you in those matchups too. But anyways, this is Josfer's list. Congratulations for their 4th place. They're 5-1 with Ulforce this weekend. Next up we have Alex with Machinedramon, and in the beginning of the format we haven't been seeing as much Machinedramon, and I have been seeing it doing a lot better outside of North America too, which is kind of weird. I do know a lot of people are on the deck, and I know a lot of people were liking the deck at the end of kind of BT11 and kind of with the Ultimate Cup format, but it is a little bit tricky at times. It is a little bit slow and sluggish for setting up at times, what I see. But if you are able to get the deck up, being able to go into Kaustinen X Antibody, this is a beast of a card in a lot of ways. Being able to start your main plays, put something underneath it, gains all the effects of the cards underneath it that are Machinedramon or Kaustinen, and being able to remove like this does burn damage, which just has like a good end condition against a lot of decks too, so very good there. The only thing is that you just have so many decisions for your top end that it can be kind of tricky for that. So you have 3 BT11 Machinedramons, 1 from EX1, and 3 of the Kaustinen from EX3 as well. This is really nice for a lot of the the protection this one has too. And honestly, like I think the hardest thing with this deck is that if you really want to abuse the Kaustinen extra antibody, you just have to like stick one of these on the board, and then after that you can use the effects of it, which is kind of tricky at times. And again, you're a little bricky. I think this deck is probably one of the best decks to take advantage of the mulligan rule that we have here too, which I think is important. And then low end real quick, we do have like Doramon, Huggermon being able to get some recycle is good. The Jazardmon as well, being able to get the 1K on play. So that's kind of nice. Well, this Digimon has an on-play effect rather. So, which does this one? This one doesn't, but like we do have some from the other Machinedramons that are on-play when Digivolving. So that's kind of nice there. Same thing here with the Jazardmon and the Garudamon. So this is definitely more of a way to go up your chain. Some decks kind of just cap out at level 3 and don't have a lot of level 4s, but this does kind of look like you can go up the full chain if you need to as much. 2 attacks of the heavy mobile Digimon, which can be like a good end condition, 2 black memory boosts, and 4 analog mana, because this guy is pretty good as well. Only thing about this deck is that Hunter's superior mode is a really good way to out a lot of this, which is unfortunate. Deck's really popular, so you do have to dodge those, but if you do, and also you will be very easy to dodge those during the Ultimate Cups in June, I think the deck's going to be good. So this is the list here. Congratulations to Alex for their finish there. Next up, we have Tasmania with their Black Wargreymon X, and this is also a black-based one as well. So we do have the Koromon eggs from BT11 as our Digi eggs. We do have the Agumon X, the Agumon from BT12, as well as Agumon from BT8. All of these are can Digivolve on top of a black Koromon, which is nice. And then we do have the Greymon X, and the rest of the black chain, including the Greymon from Star Trek 5, being able to have the inheritable of one being just named Greymon is nice, but also having the inheritable to draw 1 if your opponent didn't attack with a Digimon this turn, which can come up, I think, somewhat often. You do run the Greymon X antibody from BT9. The only rough thing is that it can only Digivolve on top of a Greymon or the Agumon from BT12, so you're a little bit rough there. Obviously, this deck would have run, I think, 4 of the Greymon X antibody from BT11, but you can't do that, so you gotta do what you can. You do the Agumon X antibody effect 2 is just fantastic. The inheritive is the same as the Greymon X antibody, so you do get a little bit more protection with this one as well. Also running the Mamimon, which on play or when Digivolving, you reveal top 5 to play a Tamer card with a cost of 4 or less without paying the cost. So being able to use this, I think, is great. But also inherited your turn once returned. When you play another Digimon by effect, one of your Digimon gains blocker, which nope, that doesn't happen. What am I talking about? That's you can maybe no, nothing does that. Never mind. Don't. The inherited is not good. You get to play Tamers though, which is nice. Which also you get to do with this guy too. With the raid effect once per turn, when your attack target is switched, you may play a black or red Digimon with a play cost of 4 from your hand without paying its cost. So we're seeing that there's honestly a lot of Tamers in this build too. So we do have like 2 copies of Coda, which is just another memory setter with Yuya. We also on play reveal top 4 of your cards, add 1 card with X antibody and his trait among them, so you can add also like a lot of your low end, but also a lot of your top end too. So like Gallimon and the Black Wargreymon X, so that's kind of nice. And we're running also the Metal Greymon X from BT11, since there is a decision between like the aggressive one and this one. So I do like this one as well, since you are going to have a lot of reboot effects, and I think that's nice as well. So honestly, just a unique build, I guess is the way to say it. No Hades Force either, which I think is a little bit strange, but it looks like it worked out for them, as well as running 4 copies of Cool Boy. So again, you're running 13 Tamers. That's a lot of Tamers. That is a lot of Tamers. A lot of them do search, including the Maki as well. This has an on-play to search. Coda has an on-play to search. This is fine, but also just the fact that like the Mamimon and also the Metal Greymon can play either one of these Tamers for free, I think, which is pretty good. Yeah, red or black with 4 costs, so you can do that there. And again, just a really interesting kind of build for this one too. So we'll see if we'll see more of the black base of Black Wargreymon top, but again, really cool build here for Tasmania. Anyways, next up we do have our 11th place Hunter list. So this is Slayde's version here. And in general, one thing I've kind of noticed is that Hunters do make top 16, and I think they've pretty much made it in every event I've covered for BT12. However, they're usually not in the top 8. They're usually in the 9th through 16th spot a lot of the time. And it makes me wonder if it's just kind of, if Hunters are more of a deck that is just seeing a lot of play right now. And because of that, they are getting a lot of tops, or they're getting a lot of like, X1s or X2s, mostly kind of like the X11s or X2s in my opinion. But it is a deck that's around that is doing stuff, but it's not like at the top end of the metas. You can top with it, but it's more of a roll of the dice, I feel sometimes. But again, like there's not a lot of variety in these builds, at least for these colors. It kind of makes sense for what it is, in that you do kind of have a decision if you want to play Quartzmon or not, in my mind, which you are playing on Slayde's build. I really like Tourmon. Some people don't run this or only run 1 copy. I do love it at 2 copies myself. Also, the Shoutmon just has on deletion you get to save, but also inheritable of the other Shoutmon. So just like an okay rookie there too. I think running more rookies is what I've been seeing more people do. So this is running 14 rookies. Some I've been seeing like run 12 or 13, try to get away with it. But the removal effect from this one is still really good. So even though you have it on the King version, and also with the Omni Shout having a couple more copies with it, and on the rookie slot, I think is good. And also running just 3 of every tamer, so just 12. I think that's usually unique. I know a lot of people usually play 4 copies of Taiki because that does get a lot of draw power, but I do understand that the tamers can. You have to find like the right balance of the tamers and the Digimon at the right times to get a lot of the good cycle with it. So anyways, this is Slayde's list. Congratulations for there. We'll see if Hunters continue to do well or if it's just a lot of people playing it, but we'll end up seeing that. And to finish it off, we do have Charles Vose, 16th place Blue Flare, just sneaking into this top 16. And we did have the European regionals this last weekend too, or the previous weekend, where Blue Flare ended up taking the whole event. And it's in a just really weird spot where I think Blue Flare does have a lot of polarizing matchups. There's a lot of matchups it does really well in, and there's a lot of matchups that if they can wall up correctly, they're in a good spot. So honestly, I think like Death Axe at like 2 copies is pretty important for this deck, just because you will find a little bit more consistency in some of your bad matchups too, which means that you're going to have a hard time in the Ultimate Cup format if you can't run Death Axe. But it is just something really good for you in this deck. Again, I think it helps you so much in Digivolving, get around a lot of cards, and it just helps you that in that way. Because if your opponent's playing like a big like stack deck, you don't have a lot of interaction with that, unfortunately. Sorai does help a little bit by removing sources as well, but not so good there. And I do like the Landamon in this one too, being able to put a blue card from underneath your tamers. You can also do some sneaky stuff where you can use it, and I got this wrong on the previous video I made, but you can technically tuck this Greymon underneath a Kiriha with the effect of your with your material save there, since it is a card underneath your Metal Greymon. So when you do that, you can put Greymon underneath it, and then you can Digivolve Randomon on top of the Kiriha, and by doing so, you'll get the inheritable of this Kiri Attack +1, and you'll also get jamming as long as you tuck a level 3 Digimon from your hand. So I think that's really good. The only rough part is that obviously none of the level 3s have inheritables in this deck, but I think that's fine. Also, the fact that you are comfortably running Modoki Betamon as well as the Sayakomon means that this deck does have a lot of kind of control aspects against BWGX, which a lot of other decks just aren't running as many. Like purple and blue, I think have some of the better colors for the memory blockers, and purple's BWGX are bust right now, and they don't have space outside of their Impmons most of the time. And so I do like this. I have been seeing like some Hunters Tekken, like some Gazimons, just because you can Digivolve on top of the Monimon too, which is interesting. But anyways, that is Charles' list. Congratulations on their top 16. And that is going to be it for us and for this video. So again, thank you guys for watching. I really do appreciate it. If you made it this far in this video, please make sure to hit that like and subscribe button, because obviously you do like this content, and that's going to be it for me. So again, thank you for watching, and I'll catch you all next time.